What's up, everyone? Chase Owens here, Bullet Club member, and you are watching the IHJW Wrestling Podcast with Nelson, Craig, and Keysh. And I promise you, it's going to be just too sweet.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of IWHJ Wrestling Podcasting. Of course, this is Keysh here, doing the NXThree, so reviewing both NXT UK and NXT USA. I know I didn't do this last week, so I'm gonna hopefully go over the main parts of last week leading into this week. Of course, I'll go over UK first. Last week, we had the finals of the British Heritage Cup between Trent Seven and A-Kid. Great match. A-Kid wins in a sudden death. Overtime to beat Trent Seven in overtime, 2-1. If you didn't watch that match, it's really good. Slow start. I believe the first 3 rounds were all ties. A-Kid gets a roll up on Trent Seven, and Trent Seven has worked really hard. Gets worked really hard in the 4th round, fails to get a pin attempt because time runs out. So Trent Seven's trying to get the final pin within the final round, and he gets it, and they go to sudden death overtime. A-Kid has a really cool super kick. He kind of like a jumping back spin kick. It's like think about like Jean-Claude Van Damme doing a split kick, but running at you at the same time. But I say go watch that match. I know it was last week, but that was more the main thing that happened last week next to Ginny calling out Piper Niven. And that was the 2 things leading up to this week. Of course, we got a preview of the Hunt versus Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan, which they got to cut a promo last week about that. But that's where it starts again. About how they were backstabbed by the Hunts because of Eddie Dennis, and Eddie Dennis is just the side of the thorn on the side of Mark and Flash Morgan, or Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan. That's what I think is better to say those names fully, right? But NXT UK starts with Rampage Brown versus Nathan Huxley. On Rampage Brown, we saw him 2 weeks ago, dominant win with a pump handle power bomb. Really cool ass move. Then Nathan Huxley, who's basically like almost a clone copy of Bruiser Brody, looks exactly like him. If anything, he really looks like Luke Harper without the pants. He has trunks on. He's not, whatever. But this is crazy. This is beef on beef action. This is big man versus big man. We have Rampage actually do a capture body slam on where's that, Nathan Huxley, where basically Nathan jumps from the top rope, Rampage just captures him, then body slams him. I'm like, both these guys are above 6'5", 6'6", and this guy's just catching him left and right. It was crazy. There was a good spot where they were both shoulder attacking each other, and every time one man gets knocked down, the other man just gets back up, and it was just going back and forth. Nathan, of course, gained advantage when it was more to the outside, where Rampage, when he's inside, he's just tossing him around. They went a lot about Nathan, that he didn't have much advantage comparatively to Rampage, because Rampage has been facing guys close to his size, where Nathan has been slaughtering guys smaller than him. But at the end of the day, Rampage gets the pump hunter power bomb on Nathan, and it looks amazing. I'm surprised he got it up so easily. But after thinking about, he caught him from the top rope, jumping from a crossbody from the top rope from a 6'5" guy, and you're just catching him. And he didn't move. He just caught him, like how Mark Henry would catch like Evan Bourne. It's dope. It's dope. Rampage he's beastly. I really hope they do more with him. He does have some potential, and no knock on Nathan either. Nathan, as his character, is just this wild, crazy dude who just beats up people. I like both of them. I really hope they move up the card and they start building up more. This is the first meeting between both of them. It's really cool. Let's see. We get a backstage interview with some random dude. didn't know. They didn't put his name on it because it was not the main point of the interview. It was that from behind you just see this figure just walk past him. He's walking towards the camera set, and you don't see the lady taking pictures, and you you hear this lady say "Ginny," and you talking and starts, and you know it's Piper at that point, and Piper just knocking and trying to let's fight Ginny, and they're pulled apart, and it's amazing. It's you have people with masks, without masks. It's a bunch of confusion all around, but they're building up this feud, and I'm excited because I was a fan of Ginny before NXT UK. She's really good, and Piper, she's doing work, and I'm glad she's still in the spotlight. Too bad she didn't win the title, but what can you do? Not everyone can be champion, and Kaylee Ray, pretty good champion. I'm safe of myself. You get to see Aoife Valkyrie. It's her name is spelled AIFOI, so it's Aoife Valkyrie. I'm not knocking for the name. When I saw it, I was like Afoy, like Aloy. I'm like, oh, that's a cool name. I was like, Aoife. I'm like, oh, okay. Might be my English American stupid brain not being able to read, British names versus Aaliyah James. This is a really good match. Very standard match based on the standard we've gotten for WWE with the women's division we have in NXT and WWE. This is a really good standard match with two women I don't even know. Aaliyah James, very flexible, very talented in the ring, a lot of good mat work, a lot of good slam work. Aoife Valkyrie, very powerful, really good striker. She of course wins with a top rope leg drop to Leah James's back while she was getting up. So it was pretty cool. And the leg drop didn't. I was like, oh, this is not safe. Then the way they landed, it was pretty safe. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of this women's division. I'm kind of leaning. I want this to be 2 hours just because it is an hour of wrestling comparatively to NXT, WWE, and SmackDown, where you don't get commercials. I miss when NXT was like this because it's just action and storylines. You don't have to literally wait. But I'm gonna enjoy these 1 hours. Hopefully, we get more from this as the pandemic ends and they build up storylines. And if they get a mid-card title for this mid-card group, it would be sick. We have Pretty Deadly, who last week actually had a squash match overall, and they're going on to tell us the titles of Gallus. So the Gallus has the titles. They make a promo saying they're ready, and they've not been pinned, and they've not been pinned by Gallus, so they're ready for a shot. Then we get to, I fully believe, though the main event tag team match was good, this is the match of the night. Joe Coffey. So Joe Coffey is one of the best UK wrestlers I've seen so far, and I remember, like I said this before, I say it again. His matches before he faced Walter for the title, I think two years ago, maybe last year, I didn't even know who he was. And watching him again now, I can fully appreciate he's really good. Then he's facing one of the most underrated wrestlers in WWE. He was on NXT, he was on SmackDown, and now he's on NXT UK, which is Alexander Wolf. Alexander Wolf is very underrated. I've not seen his stuff. I know he has a lot more time to build up now. He's part of Sanity. In NXT, got a lot of rub there with Eric Young and Killian Dane and Nikki Cross. Then they brought him to SmackDown. Nothing happened. But they put him part of Imperium as their, I want to say as their loser teammate, because he's the one who takes most of the pins, unfortunately. But he's good. He's really good as a wrestler. Imperium, as traditional wrestling guys who just know wrestling, period. He can do it. He can do it. And this was a story about Coffee striking versus Wolf's wrestling, and of course they cross here and there. So Anderson was trying to do wrestling holds on Coffee, and Coffee just started slugging kidney shots, chest shots, head shots. I'm like, what is going on? Then the referee noticed that Joe Coffey's stitches from 2 weeks ago. Joe Coffey got, I forgot who he faced, but he got busted open. He had stitches, and you can see he had Vaseline on his eye before the match. And while the referee was checking on Coffey, Wolf hits him with a right hook around the referee's head. So the referee was a woman. She's a little bit shorter than she's a little, as short as Wolf, or a little as tall as Wolf. And you just see this right hand come around her head and hit Coffee. And I was like, that is the most dirtiest thing I've ever seen. It's dope. Of course, Coffee stitches do break, and it gets kind of iffy about what happens there. But the match continues on how it goes. Let's see. And it was a good match. I don't have a lot of notes in this match because this is a good match. I would highly recommend watching this match as much as possible. Like just appreciating both these two men. You're talking about Joe Coffey, a really, really good wrestler. I fully believe that the NXT UK had a mid-card title. I don't know how the European title, right? Let's just call it the European title. If the NXT UK mid-card champion would be Joe Coffey, he would be the European champion right now. He's that good. The way he acts, the way he carries himself, he's not the smoothest in the ring, but he knows how to tell a story. We had a weird incident at the end of the match where Joe Coffey gets the Glasgow send-off, so he headbutts Wolf in his back to send him into the ropes. Then he hits him with the best of the bells. But the only thing is, Wolf ducked. He ducked. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but you just see he goes for basically a discus clothesline. So he turns around, swings it, and Wolf just ducks. And I was like, it looked like Wolf just took a breath, and he just, he would just, and he ducked, and I was like, what just happened? So he hits him with his right arm, which is Coffey's bad arm during the match. Then he hits him with the best of the bells in 1, 2, 3. I highly, highly recommend go watching this match. Go watch this match. I literally have 3 notes on this match because it was that good. It's not a 5-star match. This is not Walter versus Elena. No, it's not. But if you want to see just two guys work, just work, as Rihanna said, watch this match for sure. Then we have the revenge match finally for Mark Andrews, Flash Morgan Webster, and the Hunts, Boar, and Primate. Eddie Dennis had a promo, more at the beginning of the show, but talking about how everyone has their dogs, and now he has the associates, Primate, who's built from War and Boar. I don't know what he said about Boar. It's really weird. These two guys, just talking about the Hunt. The Hunt, they're an interesting team. The Primate, acting like a primate or a gorilla, it's really cool, and the Boar using his head and ramming into people. It seems if they were on main roster, this would be the Bushwhackers all over again. These guys, though, in NXT UK, they're hard-hitting, they're non-forgiving people. They go after you. But this would be a comedy act in WWE. So I'm appreciative of a weird, funny gimmick that's serious. So you have Eddie Dennis, who was basically, like I said, a thorn in Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster side for so long, and now they got one of their close friends, especially I think they said Flash Morgan Webster and Boar have known each other since they were kids, and it seemed like what the heck, they've known each other for that long. That's pretty dope. So it's like, they've gone to the dark side. Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews, they come out of the gates running. The match doesn't even start. They just go in a full-out brawl. You see both of them jumping from over the top rope, hitting people, jumping through the rope. They were on point, just going at it, and it was a really good match. I wanted to take notes, but I didn't want to miss anything. But the key thing for this match overall is that no matter how much advantage that Andrews and Flash got, they will get distracted by Eddie Dennis. So the first time they got distracted, Boar and the Primate took advantage of it and had Andrews basically isolated the whole match. The second time they got distracted, it literally cost them the win because they hit the finisher, but Mark Andrews just distracted them, and Boar was able to break up the pin before they got the pin off. And even Eddie Dennis is really good. He throws in Boar after a pin, and he throws in Boar right when Andrews started pinning Primate, and Boar since he's thrown in, he's not sliding in, so he gets up, notices the ref's on too, and he doesn't hit Andrews. He claws at his face, and it's really, really dope. At the end of the basically the finishing of the match is Mark Andrews gets his Slumdog Stunner. So basically, Primate gets him up for a fisherman suplex. He counters it into a Slumdog Millionaire, which is basically a counter stunner, and he's going up to top rope. I believe he does a 450 as his finisher. Boris is distracting the ref because Boris is trying to head to Andrews to distract him, but the referee pushes him away. Andrews basically pulls Dennis pulls Andrews' foot off the top rope, and he gets caught. He falls down body first on the top rope, then flips over and onto the ring. Flash gets off the apron, goes after Dennis, then gets basically pounced by Boar. Then basically Flash is out, and then the Hunt do their finishing move, which looks cool. It doesn't make sense, but looks cool. Primate gets Andrews in the AA position, tosses him over. So he literally tosses him over. Boar catches him in the powerbomb position, coming down, and it looks pretty sick. Like if you think of Grand Amplitude when Chad Gable and Jordan were doing it, it looks dope. It looks dope. I can get where it's doesn't look, it looks like a wrestling move. It doesn't look like a normal move, but it's a cool move. So after all this, after wanting the revenge, after being attacked, Flash and Andrews don't get the win. So this is going to be built off, and hopefully one of these two guys will be the team that will face either Pretty Deadly or Gallus after their tag team match. But that's about it. For NXT UK, NXT UK was a really good show. This 1 hour, if you just like wrestling, highly recommend it. NXT UK, you can't go wrong. And plus, it's a full hour. It's a full hour of promos, full hour of wrestling, no commercials, no nothing. Well, you get commercials, but it's WWE commercials, and they're a lot shorter. So the breaks you get from there is what you get. And I like I said, if NXT UK can be 2 hours, I would love it. But unfortunately, there's some if whatever those 2 hours, how long, and you have to add another UK title for sure. But dreaming, hopefully for 2021, UK does get a little bit more shine, maybe another hour, because they deserve it. Those guys are working hard. NXT opens up. NXT US opens up with 10 bells of Pat Patterson. Rest in peace, Pat Patterson. We just recently lost him. When first intercontinental champion, Vince's right hand man for so long, and many memories about him. I believe me and my boys will do maybe a podcast about Pat Patterson. I only knew him as one of Vince's stooge, but it doesn't mean he didn't have a lot of memories. I saw a lot of funny memories on my end. I didn't get to see his, him in his ire, or him in his best, but the stuff he did with Briscoe and Vince as part of Vince's stooges was pretty funny. But rest in peace for him, and hopefully he's in a better place. We have Damien Priest and Ruff versus Santos and Raul Mendoza from El Fantasma. This happened because Priest was confronted by Legado del Fantasma, the whole crew, and he attacks one of them. Basically, the guy's not fighting. Ruff was supposed to face literally be in a tag team with, I forget, some guy. But Priest took his place, and Ruff and Priest are tag teaming and against the Cruiserweight Champion and one of his goons. It's a good match. It's a typical match. It's still Ruff trying to prove himself as the U.S. As a North American champion, because he won the title because of Priest, and he's kept the title because of Priest. There's a lot of little things though, so let's go through it. Ruff argues with Priest to start the match, and Ruff starts the match. And Ruff, he done this spot multiple times where he starts from the top rope, then he lands in the middle rope, Then he jumps to the other side to the bottom rope. Then is able to get away. It looks cool. It's the third time I've seen it, so I know it's a spot for him. Like it's a spot like how Finn Balor's spots, all that stuff. I don't know. It was cool the first 2 times. The third time was like, all right, there's got to be another variation of this, right? But he's still really good. Like Ruff is he's not. I will say he's not the greatest champion in WWE right now, duh. But hopefully he has a lot more to show down the line. Let's see. Ruff has a small showcase, of course, with the spots, but he takes a knee from Santos and he tags in Priest. Santos is like, no, I'm not dealing with Priest. So he tags out. Priest basically, he just beats up Raul Mendoza the whole time until he throws him to the outside. On the outside wall, he's like slamming Raul left and right of the barricades. He Ghostface in the crowd, just Ghostface. And I'm like, okay, weird. But he's like, just kind of like, oh, is this the guy that cost me the North American Championship at Halloween Havoc? I don't know, but that was enough of a distraction where Raul was able to tag Santos, and Santos does a dive, hits Priest. Let's see. Then Priest gets isolated. He tags in Ruff. The Priest looks up at Ruff and he's like, whatever. And he just tags him in. And Ruff gets a good showing. I think Ruff and Raul do a combination where they both hit each other. Priest gets back up. He's about to finish Raul Mendoza off. Ruff tags himself in. So Priest does his finishing move. Then where is it? Where he goes? And so yeah, Priest hits the Reckoning, which is not Mia Yim from Raw. It's called the Reckoning. So a spinning DDT, inverse neckbreaker, and then Ruff hits a frog splash from the top rope. And that's it, 1, 2, 3. As they both look at Johnny Gargano, who's on commentary the whole time, just making fun of Priest and Ruff, two Ghostface appear behind him. And Ruff is still talking crap, like he doesn't see the Ghostface, and Priest is like wide-eyed, like, I don't know what to do, what's going to happen. So, of course, NXT War Games is happening this Sunday. The Triple Threat match is one of the matches between Ruff, Johnny, and Priest for the North American Championship. I don't know. Ruff has had a good 3 weeks of showing what he can do. I don't know what to expect from Ruff. I don't know what to expect this match because I don't know who should have the title because Johnny is a good person to have the title just to carry the title. Priest had the title taken away from him randomly because of stupid reasons, and Johnny lost his title because of his own stupid reasons. So I don't know if they're gonna build up Ruff and call up Priest, and Johnny can face Ruff. I don't know because with the Royal Rumble season happening next month, right? Basically, end of the year January, and the new year December, going to WrestleMania season, Royal Rumble into WrestleMania season. I don't know if they call up Priest. So, what are your thoughts about what's going to happen this Sunday? Because I don't know. I actually don't know. We have the Grizzled Vets, their comebacks today. They attacked Everrise last week. So they get to have a tag team match against Everrise, and that's what's being promoted. Grizzled Young Vets versus Everrise. And Grizzled Young Vets are really good. I totally forgot how good they were. We go back to Shotzi, who's working in her mysterious garage, building whatever she's building, must like another tank. Rhea Ripley and Ember Moon come up behind her, saying her name, and they say they brought an engine for her tank. Camera angles change, and a bright light shines on Shotzi's face. Whatever the engine is, don't know. Then Rhea and Ember Moon look at it and like, I guess we're going to war. So we know 2 of the members of Team Shotzi, though we have all of Team Candice, which is Candice LeRae, Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai, and Toni Storm. And Toni Storm turned on Ember Moon last week after being basically jumped by all of 4 women and in the Black Heart. Then we get to a undisputed era, like little vignette of them going out and like having drinks and going to dinner together, talking about the last few weeks of them being on TV. You had Kyle O'Reilly losing to Finn Balor for not winning the NXT Championship. You have Adam Cole after that match being beat up and sent to the hospital. Bobby Fish being sent to the hospital after a sneak attack from whoever. Then Roger Strong being attacked by most likely Lorcan and Birch was for Fish and for Strong. And then it goes back to when Pete Dunne turned on Kyle. And yeah, it's been a rough. They talk about how the last few weeks have not been good, and it's time to reflect because they've never felt like they've been behind the 8 ball, and they always seem like they are right now. Like, and it's true. Like, the Undisputed Era has always been this dominant team until now. None of them have titles. They're basically vulnerable, and it's because of Pat McAfee and his crew, right? And it's pretty cool. So they're having dinner, and they toast. Bobby Fish is like, all right, I'm done reflecting. It's time to whoop some butt. Then they toast to Pat McAfee for being very smart and very stupid, which I totally agree. But I just don't like Pat McAfee. Grimes, you get Grimes versus Gray, and this is a quick match. Quick match. Grimes is on his high horse. He beats Gray in literally 2 minutes with a cave-in. And I was like, alright. So Grimes comes out with a strap. And after he beats Gray, he flaunts the strap around. He's like, Loomis, you went in the strap match with me. I ain't strapped in with you. You're strapped in with me. And he straps Gray to one end of the strap and does basically a clothesline. He sends him to the corner, pulls the strap, gives him a clothesline, gives him a cave-in, and starts slapping Gray with the strap. Gray rolls up the ring, and Grimes is just like, and the great thing is, I can always bring him back. And we don't see Gray when he rolls out, so we just see him. And Grimes is just pulling the strap back into the ring, not looking what he's pulling into the ring. Loomis is connected to the other end of the strap then, and Grimes freaks out. Loomis gets the better of him, gets a few slaps with on Grimes with the leather strap. Grimes unhooks himself from the strap and runs up the ramp, and basically saying, "Oh, Grimes can't run anymore because." During Halloween Havoc, he ran and he lost. During their no hold bar match, he ran. Period. He just ran. He was able to jump the barricade and run away. So I don't know expecting this match. I'm expecting to be funny. Should be the first match. I'm really hoping it is the first match before the Workings match. But as right now, the card for NXT War Games is Loomis versus Grimes in the leather strap match. We have Johnny Gargano versus Priest and Leon Ruff for the North American Championship, and of course you have both War Game matches. Pat McAfee comes out, talks about. Oh, actually, I just skipped the match. Okay, so we had Tony Atlas versus. You have Atlas versus Nice. Well, this is the first time we've seen Nice in so long, and I miss him so much. He's really good. Former Cruiserweight champion, looks amazing, great. Atlas. You know what he does. He's Atlas. He has the cartwheel DDT. It's a very, very solid match, I would say. The only bad thing about this match wasn't the match. Is that they interrupted half the match with freaking Pat McAfee and his crew showing up. I was like, you serious? Like, you're trying to build Atlas. You're trying to build Atlas, right? And this is the first match I've seen Tony Nese in the longest time, and he's a great athlete. He's a great competitor. But you interrupt him for Pat McAfee and his crew. I was like, this is stupid. I was like, instantly turned off. Atlas hits his cartwheel DDT, and it's just still not natural. I don't get like how you expect to hit that every time, and I get like if he hits it, he wins. No, actually, no, he's not won because he said it before and not won before. I don't know. I don't like the finisher. I wish he had a different finisher. I wish it was a freaking submission move, but whatever. He gets an interview at the end saying that, this is life is. He takes 3 steps back, but 1 step forward. Though he's not the Cruiserweight champion, he's working his way back to Santos to going after the Cruiserweight championship. That's about it. Like, super, I wouldn't even say, this is super like Rocky Maivia promo, like getting, I want to win soon. That's about it. Pat McAfee comes out, talks about how he made his team by using money and yada yada yada. Talks about the UA and whatever. I don't care for it. It's boring. He just yells a lot. That's it. Whatever. Like legitimately, like it's Pat McAfee on the mic. It's more annoying. He doesn't have a tone I like. He doesn't say anything that's basically. He's like a worse version of the Miz. I'm like, cool, but he can do flips versus the Miz. I don't know. I just don't like it. He doesn't move the needle for me. I wish it was someone else. But whatever. We have basically the continuation from Xia Li and Boa meeting this mysterious woman, whoever she is, and this elderly Asian man. So from last week, they show up, and you don't see the woman, and you just see the man, and they just bow, and they said we'll win. Then they see, and it just ends there and just says bow. We go back, and they're like being basically water punished in a way where they're told to hold their breath underwater until they can't anymore, then do it again. And that's what it is. Do it again. 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 And you just see, like, Boa's, like, going backwards into the water, which I'm like, that's rough. That's rough. Kayfabe, if he has to do that multiple times, that's rough. Whereas Xia is, like, dipping her, she's, like, putting her head going in the water going forward, which is not as bad unless your head's upside down. But then that ends, and it's just intense. It's just intense scenery, and this is more like a movie scene of like punishment. Then they're standing there waiting, and it's like looking around, and you see the lady just go. She doesn't say anything. She just goes like this, and the old man's like, okay. And then both Boa and Xia Li are getting hit with kendo sticks, like as a punishment. So like 50 lashings or 50 whippings. It's weird, but I will say this: it's interesting. It is very interesting. Who is this lady? Who is this old man? Why? What does it mean? Is Boa, and how is this going to affect Boa and Xia Li? We've never seen Boa until Raquel. I've never seen Boa until Raquel Gonzalez powerbound him. So that's the first time I've seen Boa before. And Xia Li, I was hoping for her to turn heel. Now she might turn heel. So I want to see where this goes. I'm interested. I'm waiting for next week. What other punishment will they go through, or will they actually come back to the ring? So we have Everrise in the ring already, waiting for the Grizzly Young Vets. The Grizzly Young Vets come out with their entrance, and then Imperium attacks the Grizzly Young Vets. Attacks Everrise. And they say they were on top, but Breeze and Fandango and who the tag team? Oni, Lorcan, and Birch have their time and spot. It's our time to tell you who the top tag team is in NXT, and we're gonna put the Grizzly Young Vets in their spot. And this is where I'm gonna say this: Eichner Vettel versus James Drake and Zach Gibson. This is a feud transplanted from NXT UK to NXT USA, and these 4 men are amazing. This is just like every other match. I don't really take too many notes on because of how good the match is. Watch this tag team match. It ends in crap because they had to, but Imperium versus Grizzly Young Vets, amazing. It makes me happy that they're back for sure. We have Eichner, like with some key spots. Eichner does a capture suplex on Drake, so he's a smaller guy, but he capture suplexed him. I was like, and it didn't go well where he was able to capture him and Drake was already in the suplex position. He had to literally lift him back up because he caught him as Drake was like almost in fetal position. So Drake was falling back down, and Eichner just powers him back up. I'm like, jeez, man, that's rough. Eichner hits basically a. Then Eichner does this too, which is like all 3 men out the outside. So, three young vets and Vattel are outside. He runs up the top rope like so smoothly, bottom rope, middle rope, top rope, and does a crossbody to all 4 of them, to his own partner and the Grizzly Young Vets. Then match ends because Everrise attacks both teams. Everrise attacks both teams, then start posing in the top of the ramp. As both teams slowly get up, they run away. And it goes to commercial and comes back commercial. And Everrise is like, yeah, we got him, right? This is what Everrise does, but they're getting in the car running away. Yeah. And they're trying to get interviewed. He's like, this is what Everrise does. And they just drive off. I'm like, oh, they don't want none of these guys. So they're building up 3 new tag teams, which is good. This is more tag teams than Xavier Woods have seen on Raw. So I would love to see more tag teams. This is why I miss tag teams. I don't know what Everrise can do. To be honest, I've not seen them wrestle yet because I think I've not paid attention when they're wrestling. But it is what it is. Let's see what they can do because I know Imperium and Grizzly and Bits are good. Let's see what Everrise can do with 2 basically very good tag teams. We get a Thatcher Thatch Can. Basically lesson, and it's talking about distractions, which if Morgan Webster and Andrew watched, they would have won and beat the Hunt. Just saying. This is why you watch NXT, and NXT was before NXT UK. I'm just saying. I think it's recorded, so I don't know what I'm talking about. But he talks about distractions. As he turns around to talk to his student, Ciampa's there. And Ciampa he just stands in front of the student. He's like, Thatcher's like, I have no problem with you. And he tries to leave the ring. And Ciampa's like, I just want to fight. It's like, I have no problem with it. And he starts leaving the ring. And he turns in and attacks Ciampa. Ciampa gets the best of Thatcher until the student, who is Tyler Russ, attacks Ciampa. And then Thatcher gets the best of Ciampa from there. It ends in the Glory Lock, which is the front lock DDT. Looks amazing. Actually, knowing what he does now, like knowing how to do a front lock DDT, it looks good. Thatcher makes it look good. The way he holds and like who does it, it's really sick. And how Ciampa sells it is really good too. So we're definitely getting that match, just not during Sunday. Hopefully we get that next week or sooner or later because we've not seen Ciampa in a while, do some work in a while, and Thatcher is really good. And shout out to Sacramento native for sure. We have Blackheart versus Gonzalez. So Raquel Gonzalez versus Shotzi Blackheart for advantage at War Games. We don't know who the 4th member is to Shotzi's team, but that will show up at the end of the match. It's just really weird. I really wish they showed Rip and Moon joining Shotzi, because they said they joined through social media, which is basically the little video package I talked about earlier. Is this a little bit more impactful? Because the way that Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez joined Candice and joined Candice was impactful, and the way that Tony Storm joined Candice was impactful. Like they all took out people. So I don't know, and it's pretty funny. I'll tell you the teams after. Good match. I would say I would say a very scary ladder match between both women, because I thought of this too, and I really hope, I didn't say this in the best of art, I really hope Shotzi doesn't get into the Sasha type of selling where it just looks too dangerous. Because there's many times I'm like, did she fall right? Did she fall okay? Her knees okay and all that stuff? And give it up to Raquel Gonzalez. She's the biggest person in the match. Well, next to Rhea Ripley. but she's not like as nimble as Ripley, and Ripley's not that nimble to be like as comparatively. But I would say Ripley's a lot more nimble. There's a lot of points where I'm like, oh god, do not kill these two ladies for falling from the ladders. We had a coffin drop from Shotzi to Gonzalez from the barricade, so that was pretty cool. We got a senton on the ladder while Gonzalez was looking at the ladder. So Gonzalez is on her knees and with her face on the ladder, and Shotzi does a senton to her back, and I was like, that seemed super, super dangerous. Then Shotzi does like her basically sit down senton going to the outside, and it looked like she missed completely. Like she fell right in front of Gonzalez instead of falling like literally on top of her. So it looked like she just fell from the top rope to the floor on her tailbone. And I was like, what is going on? So as those two women were outside, Indy Hartwell finds a ladder and gets down Team Candice from their canopy. So during this match, to make sure that both teams stay out of the result of this match, they're both on these canopies where they get out, they're on top of it, but there's no way to get down. Hartwell gets a ladder, lets all of Team Candice down, and they start attacking Team Shotzi. And as they start doing that, out of nowhere, Ember Moon and Rhea Ripley come from behind the crowd, and it starts attacking them. So that happens. Indy Hartwell tries to get the briefcase as the both teams fight, because they're all fighting. As Indy's going up the ladder, Io Shirai comes out of nowhere and jumps on top of Hartwell's back and saves the win for Shotzi. She knocks Indy down. Then Io actually does a black flip from the top rope to all the women on the outside and the officials and some referees. They were trying to separate the two teams. As that's going on, Shotzi was able to get back in the ring and win the title. And the commentator said this is for revenge because Io was attacked by Candice's crew way back, like right after the last takeover. So we have our teams now, and there's a cool picture, and I'll put it up on. I should be popping up right now. It's a really cool picture of all four ladies posing in the ladder, and it's a hell of a team. Like both teams are sick. Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, Candice LeRae, Toni Storm, all solid, super solid wrestlers. And you have Rhea Ripley, Ember Moon, Io Shirai, and Shotzi Blackheart. This was good. I'm super excited. I'm super excited for War Games on Sunday. So I really hope you guys are too. If you go back, I'm going to give you an update for the Undisputed Era and Pat McAfee crew. Pat McAfee have the advantage because Pat McAfee interfered with Pete Dunne's and Kyle O'Reilly's ladder match. Allowed Pete Dunne to win the match because for some odd reason Pat McAfee wasn't on the canopy with the rest of his team because he was busy, but he had the same stupid mask. So whatever. So we have our storylines ready now. We have 2 War Games matches. We have 4 matches overall. I'm looking for the seriousness and the comedy of Cameron Grimes and Dexter Lumis. I want to see what his U.S. North American Championship goes to because I don't know who's going to win. I don't know if they keep it on rough because I fully believe, like, if I was anybody, I would call a Priest now. Johnny doesn't want to go. Let Johnny just stay in NXT. Call up Priest. Bring in the SmackDown because they don't have enough. And, like, who... Then you have the men's War Games match, which, you know, we all know Pat McAfee was a plan B, and this will still be a great match. You get 7 really good match wrestlers and Pat McAfee, who is just a stunt person. Then I would say, not counting the 4 horsewomen and Asuka, the next 8 best women wrestlers on the roster that's actually wrestling around that's not injured. So I'm excited. This is really cool. This is a really cool way to end NXT on a high note, at least with their events and leading up to TLC. And of course, we're in Rumble season, baby. But all in all, guys, I'm glad you guys came. I know this was a little bit longer last time, but thank you. Take care of yourselves. Be safe out there. And hope everything is well. And remember,